Good morning and welcome to Morning Coach Today. I am so glad you're with us. Hey, it's April 24th, ready to take it on. It is a Monday. Excited. Episode 4945 as we count to 5,000 here, rocking and rolling. And this week we got a lot going on. By the way, today we have a makeup coaching. Last week I had a couple things going on. Not only didn't I have my voice working, I had some family issues. So we moved it till today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the meetup room. Hopefully you get a chance to hang out with us. We're going to talk about personal podcasting. Now that the basic framework of personal podcasting up, there's more coming with that. And specifically what we're doing next month as we are really launching everything now. We've got the intake forms ready so that you can get some follow-up and some coaching that you need. As you know, Morning Coach is about really about certainty and caring. And so all of that's coming together, and I can't wait to talk about that later today. Again, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can put it on your calendar and you can make that, that would be fantastic. In the meetup room, it will be recorded. Okay, so this week we got a big week planned. We're going to have some fun. We're going to be talking about creating instead of surviving. Really, that's what we're talking about, this creation principle in work and as an entrepreneur, both areas. So don't think it's just guided towards, hey, we got to create, or towards digital creation. This is about an overall ILD life principle, and we're really going to get into it this week as we close out April. Again, I'm excited about this week because we're going to talk about creating versus creating instead of surviving. And then tomorrow we're going to finish our book, controversial book. There was some discussion in the group about it, Cheating Death, the New Science of Living Longer and Better, and really just kind of discussing some of the ideas and thoughts on the new science that is out there. And again, anytime we talk about these books and we get into them, make sure you're doing your own research, especially when it comes to health. And when we get into some of this experimental area and some of this new stuff that's coming out, I really want you to take the time to do your own research. But I do definitely love to look at the cutting edge of things in health and longevity, and I think this book opened us up to some of that. Wednesday, we're going to talk about ILD principles of creation, creating the creation habit at work and in your career. So again, this is another thing that can help you grow and develop. Asking JB on Thursday, we're going to talk about overcoming the fear of creation. This is a big one. I get a lot of questions on this, and I want to go over that. What do I do in order to get over that? Friday, the financial creation, and then a pricing discussion. How do you price, and some ideas on that, and also on some financial creation. Deep day. Saturday, systems to help you create. And then, of course, Sunday, our deep spiritual day. We're going to talk about connecting to the divine intelligence. So we've got a really big week planned for you here of excitement and good energy, as always, getting you started with some good energy. And today we want to talk about creation, right, and creating. And last Wednesday, we talked about creating our own reality. And we got some really good feedback on that Coach Cast. That's one that we need to do more of and talk more of the metaphysical area of creation, which I love. But if we think about creating, anything that has been made has started with some form of creation, right? And it's the beginning point of all things. It's where things develop. Now, when we start looking at creation, the thing that I'm talking about instead of surviving is basically consumption. So we're all consumption people. That's what we are. We consume things constantly, whether it's food, whether it's media, and I'm talking about even into our brains, right? So it's just not the consumption that you would think of food, but anything that we consume, vehicles, houses, the life that we live, we are consumers. I mean, that's what we are. If you think about it, we are quote unquote consumers. My job is to help you create, and the more that we can open up to creation, the more freedom that we can have in our life. It's a true ILD principle that creation is over consumption. Now, with that being said, we're all consumers. You're going to consume things. There's absolutely no way you can't live without consumption. I never like saying things impossible, but it's pretty much impossible, right? You're going to consume things in your life. And so we want to start understanding this ILD concept of creating before consuming, okay? And that's a really, really important part. Now, there's a lot of issues that come up when it comes to creation. When you're putting something out that comes into your brain, it's scary, right? It's something that we don't know if the market's going to accept it. And one of the number one fears is rejection. Nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody. I don't know anybody that says, oh, I can't wait to put my idea out in the world and have everybody just tell me it sucks, right? Nobody likes that fact. And that's what holds everybody up a lot. And we're going to spend some time on that this week. We're going to spend a lot of time on fear. Thursday specifically, we're going to spend a lot of time. But if we think about it, what happens is we decide to create something. And we put it out there. We decide to, say, hey, I'm going to create. And let's just use art, for example. I mean, creation is everything. Creation is ideas. Creation is bringing something to work with an idea that you're going to help the organization, right? But I'm going to use art for one. So when I grew up, I was not very good at art. And I didn't have good art teachers, right? So what I mean by a good art teacher is somebody that would have just kept me going. I just never had the patience for it. And that's one of the big things that I'm working on in my life is to slow down. You've heard me say this, that one of my coaches told me put the painting on the wall. I'm working really hard at slowing down, right? And a couple things I'm doing. I want to learn guitar. I want to have, build this retreat center. I want to build Morning Coach. But because I have so many things going on, I'm not able to create or hold on to things. So I'm really slowing down. As you can tell even with the things we're doing here, a little bit slower, even our infographics and our checklist, there's a lot more coming and slowing down than just putting things out there. Now, with that being said, I'm one that fails fast. So slowing down is a hard thing for me to do. But I think let's go back to art. So I'm going back to my art teacher. Sorry, I digressed a little bit, but going back to my art teacher, I never really had a good art teacher. So I never thought I was good at art. And since I never thought I was good at art, I've never done art. Like I've never painted or any of that stuff. In fact, I've kind of got negative with it. And I feel bad about that because it's something that I feel maybe would give me some peace. Like it would slow me down. And I know I could start any time, but I am not going to add anything to my Sacred Six list right now. I've got too much going on. But you can see how one thing can really disturb everything. This is why I say words are spells, right? I think about Pilar and I feel sad about this. It actually sometimes just kind of, I well up a little bit because she brought some art home that she was working on, or she drew some stuff, and it was really bad. I mean, it was not very good, right? And I've told this story before, how I acknowledged that that wasn't very good. Maybe art's not your thing, and I think about that so much about that because it was 20 years ago, and did I destroy that creative part of her that maybe after 20 years her art would be beautiful, or maybe it was something she could express herself with, but that initial start of it wasn't very good. And then I validated that. And that was bad. Just like people validated it when I was in school in art, when I would get D's and C's and maybe even some F's because I didn't have the patience to sit there and draw and do what I needed to do. And so that happens in all areas of life. Like in all areas of our life, we go out there and we try to do things and people validate that we're not very good at it. And then we start to bring that into our brain and we start to build those beliefs. And remember, beliefs are a very important thing. Beliefs are what really is creating our life. And all of a sudden, we have all these different beliefs. And in order to really change our life, we've got to change our beliefs. And we can. That's what's so awesome about life. Like you can make a decision to make a change and start changing. Like me, I could say, hey, I'm going to slow down and learn guitar. It's a decision. It really is. And it's like, okay, I need to slow my butt down and start doing the things that I need to do to learn guitar, if that's what I want, right? And that's why one of the things we're putting in is like a monthly check or a quarterly check or annually check for you to say, hey, is this working? Are the things working for you? What do you need to make changes? That's the big part of Morning Coach 5.0 that I really want. It's the caring part. Because again, if I really understood these things years ago and I cared for Pilar, there's no way that I would have ever told her that her art was ugly. Now, this isn't participation trophy stuff. I think it's really important to understand. It's not that everybody's a champion, everybody gets a trophy, because the world is hard and it's cruel, especially when you go out there and you start to market. It's tough. I'm telling you. It's one of the hardest things in the world. I think about YouTube, for example. YouTube's so cruel because any YouTuber I know that's kind of just getting started, it's like YouTube teases you and they share some videos and it's like, wow, this is going to work. And then all of a sudden your video stops showing anywhere. And it's almost painful, right? And the same thing whenever we create anything, it's painful. So we don't want to just say, oh my gosh, you're going to be great artists. No, but we can still support everyone in their creation ability. We don't have to be so negative, right? Like me, like validating that it sucks. It could have been like, look, you're the beginner. All beginners suck. Nobody comes out and is a Rembrandt right out of the gate. I mean, there are some prodigies, right? But just because you're not a prodigy doesn't mean that you can't be great at some point. It's really sad how many people we've just destroyed because of these ideas of when people come out of the gate and things don't work, right? But we have to be realists, and I hate that term because I do believe in creating your own reality. But we gotta make people stronger, and that's where I'm coming from. That we don't want to just say, "Oh, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great." That's not the answer either. The answer is you got to work and you got to develop the skill and the talent, and or develop the skill to go with the talent, and all of a sudden it'll get there. And if you don't have the talent, then just keep developing the skill, and eventually maybe you'll overcome your own talent and you'll be good at things. But it's important that we understand as we go out today that creation is not only for ourselves. And I think that's the point that I want to make. I mean, to make the world a better place, we've got to go out there and make sure we're supporting others, supporting each other in our pursuits. It's challenging, especially when it comes to business and entrepreneurship or your career. It's all the same, right? When we start getting into money and business, it gets challenging out there. And it's hard for us to push our ideas through. And so we've got to really work to get better at the things that we do. And that comes with time, right? And that's where you slow down and you just keep working. And you realize who you're doing it for. And I think this is the important part. And I think of Pilar, my art story, right? At the end of the day, she wasn't doing it for me. She was doing it for her. But yet I stole that dream a little bit, right? I took that away from her because I validated her own insecurities that when she was starting, she wasn't very good. And that's the same thing that happens with everybody, whether it's podcasting, whether it's YouTube, whether it's going to work and you're trying to, give ideas and stuff, and somebody has a bad day and they tell you no, all of a sudden things don't work. Creation in life all starts with thought. But it starts with thought and then taking action. You ever have an idea? You put it out there, and all of a sudden somebody else has it? And it's like, oh, man, I had that idea. I did it with CRMs. I wanted to collect data, and Salesforce is a big one right now, right? Huge, billion-dollar company. And I had that idea. Like, I was using ACT back in the day, and I was like, what if we put an online system together where people could input their data, and we could collect data and make it better? I had that idea, right? Well, obviously somebody else did. And typically that's what happens. So if we don't take action or if we're scared, and then I was young. Remember my horrible belief that I thought you needed gray hair to be successful? Remember, that's what I thought. I was young. I didn't think I could be successful because all my mentors had gray hair, right? And it was just that I never took action. But everything starts at thought, right? It starts with this creative ability. And it starts with our ability to put things out there. That's how we create value. The ILD principle really is creating value. That's what it's about. We create value, put it out in the world, we get compensated for that value. We're going to talk about pricing on Friday. We're going to go over some of that, how I determine the pricing of what we're going to with the 5.0 launch, which is, expensive. It's not cheap because I want people to participate. And it's expensive, relatively expensive. Again, pricing is relative, so I don't want to get into that today. But the idea is that we put value out there, and people are exchanging that value for the creation that you bring to the world, and they're going to give you money for that, whether it's knowledge that you've had, right? And that's how the old market used to be. The old market used to be, oh, you have so much knowledge, you've been doing this for 20 years, we're going to pay you for that. But the new market is more about outcome. Like, what are you going to get out of this? And that's why we're changing our model. Yeah, I've been doing this for 18 years, coming up on episode 5,000. I can coach and teach and do a lot based on my knowledge. But at the end of the day, most people are like, well, what am I going to get out of this? And that's why we're adding the caring aspect. That's why we're adding the infographics and the checklist. And, as we get into ILD next month, and we're going to get into ILD lifestyle, and then we're going to do ILD professional expert series. This is 2 months of just hardcore ILD. The reason I'm doing that is because of the outcome that comes from that, right? And then the value that comes from that is how you get compensated. But again, it all comes back to this idea of creation and the belief that we can put something out there and the belief that we can do it, and realize that as we do it, we're not going to be very good at the beginning. And we've got to do a better job with other people around us to allow for that creation, because if everybody was creating, the world would be a better place. It just would be, right? But right now, it's the opposite. Everybody consumes. Most people are consumers and not creators. I mean, everybody creates at some little level, but most people are consuming, never have this discussion of creation. And what I really want to get across for me, those of you that are parents, is to help your children with this. Not, again, giving them a participation trophy, but believing in them, in their ability to create. Whatever that is so important. Remember that imagination is so critical. Einstein said for years, imagination is more important than intelligence. And that's what we're working on today, creation. And I hope you get that. It's a very deep topic, and we can go over in the community and talk about it. But it's really about creating. It's about bringing your energy into things and creating value. That's an ILD principle that will never not serve you. If you continue to do that, you will figure out ways to create. As long as we don't shut it down or allow other people like I did to Pilar to shut it down or my art teachers to shut me down. Allow that expression to come through because you never know when it's truly going to hit. Okay, so I love you. Let's get out there and have a great Monday. It's going to be a great week. Let's put some great energy out there, and I'll be back tomorrow right here on morningcoach.com. But let's focus on creation over consuming. Love you.